Nothing is actually impenetrable. A place like this says it is, and it's close, but people still built this place. And if you can hack the right person, all of a sudden you have a piece of powerful malware. People always make the best exploits.
Okay, so now we've got a couple of terms that we're going to see in our world. You've got ways that we try to manage people, like separation of duties, job rotation, cross-training. So one of the things that we try to do in this world is we try to force collusion. We try to force collusion. That means you want to put people in a situation where it takes two of them to do something bad. Think about it when you have kids. You tell your teenage son, oh, you want to go there? You have to take your little brother. And the reason for that is the two of them have to collude in order to do whatever the bad thing is that they want to do. Or you can have job rotation, where an employee is working a job, and while he's working this job, he knows that next week someone's going to be sitting in this chair. So he can't go too far off the rails because someone is going to be sitting in the same desk, looking at the same screens on his computer, and might catch the shady stuff he's doing. Or you can have separation of duties, like accounts payable and accounts receivable. So the people who receive the invoices for the company are not the people who can write the checks. You might want to screen people with background checks, and these types of things become deterrents to lower the likelihood of people doing bad things in your environment, because you're not letting in people with bad backgrounds and things like that. You might want to reduce the risk posed to your organization by people learning all the secret sauce. So you might make them sign non-disclosure agreements and non-compete agreements. You might mandate that they take mandatory vacations. All of these things lower your corporate risk, because now you're lowering the risk of burnout. Now you're lowering the risk of people disclosing information they shouldn't be. Now you're lowering the risk of people going from your company to a competitor, taking away your competitive advantage. Having things like onboarding and offboarding processes are for continuity. They ensure continuity and security. It really helps your organization work well. And these things can also be of a great benefit to security, ensuring that when a person leaves, all of his access is revoked.
I don't understand.
Your company email, access to the server, access to the building, and your mobile data and phone service will all be severed as of this meeting. And this gentleman will take you to your office so you can clear out your personal belongings.
You may have agreements with entities, service level agreements, where you guarantee your customers a certain level of support, or you make your vendors guarantee you a certain level of support. That way you're reducing your risk. You know you can guarantee X level of support or capability to your customers, and vice versa. You want to be guaranteed these certain levels of support or capability by your vendors so that you can accomplish your mission. And now we have regulatory compliance. Regulatory compliance, things like PCI, HIPAA, these are rules, policies, regulations, standards, and in some cases, even law that ensure that we do the right thing. Let's jump in and let's look at a few questions. We're going to do questions just from domain 1. We're going to do a few questions, then we're going to go back to the slides. So the first question is, intellectual property rights are primary concerned with which of the following? What do you guys think? Okay, I got one vote for A. Let's check A. Right of the owner to control the delivery method. Okay, I'm actually going to agree with that. Why is that a little tricky? Let me help you. I'm looking at intellectual property rights definition, and part of the IPR definition, intellectual property rights definition, rights that pertain to creations of the human mind. IPR, intellectual property rights, typically give the owner of the IP, intellectual property, the exclusive right to control use of the creation for a certain period of time. Definitely in line with C, right? But it's not necessarily about making money. It's more along the lines of, if anyone's going to use this, you have say over it. Let's say I built something, and I don't necessarily have to make you pay me to use it, but because I built it and it's my intellectual property, the way that you use it is up to me. You can have some software, for example, that's open source, but even though it's open source software, there's a licensing agreement that stipulates how you must use it, even though it's free. It's more about control than it is about money. Okay? Obviously, it can be controlled so you can make money from it. We're not saying that it's not about money at all, but it's more about control. The primary goal is for you to have control over your creation. If you want people to pay you for it, they can. If you want people to use it a certain way, they can. That's why it's primary. Have you ever gotten some software that, even though the software was free, it has an agreement with how to use it? I cracked that joke earlier. It's free, but look, it's got terms of exactly how I'm supposed to use it, even though this software is free. So this software is their intellectual property. Have you ever been on a website and you ran into a CAPTCHA?
May I see my stuff, please? I smell a robot. Prove you're not a robot. Look at these curvy letters. Much curvier than most letters, wouldn't you say? No robot could ever read these. You look mortal if ye be. You look. And you type what you think you see. Is it an E or is it a 3? That's up to ye. The passwords have passed, you've correctly guessed, but now it's time for the robot test.
Okay, so it says the primary objective of using a CAPTCHA in an authentication system is to prevent which of the following attacks. Okay, guys, what do you think? Why would you use a CAPTCHA in an authentication system? Okay, I got one vote for B. Okay, so remember, authentication is I'm trying to log in. It's trying to prove that I'm who I say I am. Okay, authentication. It's trying to prove who I say I am. And while I'm doing that, it wants me to type something that I see on the screen. Okay, I got one vote for B. Anybody else? Okay, we'll throw B up there, see if it's for phishing. Why denial of service? Good, brute forcing, yes. So someone could be doing so much brute forcing that it's making the site unusable. Yes, very good, very good. When presenting a security solution to executive management for approval, which of the following security aspects must be provided by the information security officer? Okay? Think business, guys. Think business. All right, let's give it a shot and let's see what we recommend. Remember, we talked about business, right? That's why it's how long is it going to take to get it done and what's it going to cost us, right? It says, which countermeasures most effectively address the threat of unauthorized access to a database? Okay, I've got one vote for B as in Bravo. Ooh, and one vote for A. I want you guys to think about it because encryption is one of the ways that you ensure confidentiality. That's a key thing for the exam. Encryption is a way that you ensure confidentiality. If you don't want unauthorized access, a general recommendation is encryption. Again, this is not a very technical thing because people who are technical know that database encryption is actually very difficult to do because the data isn't at rest when you're utilizing the database. Therefore, it's really difficult to encrypt. So your technical people really struggle with these types of questions. This is a conceptual question. The question is asking you, how do you address unauthorized access to something? Unauthorized access relates to confidentiality. Encryption gives you confidentiality. This is an example of a vocabulary question disguised as a technical question. Last one. After implementing a centralized solution for dealing with virus and malware in a large organization, what additional step would be required to address the human factor issue? Got one vote for B. I want you to think of it like just ensuring that the process got approved, that the policy got approved, doesn't mean that it's a good policy. So ensuring that the policy is adequate for the task at hand is how we address human issues. There's some things that technical things will not solve. We just don't have software and hardware to detect every possible thing you could do. So when physical controls and technical controls can't catch you doing something wrong, we have to write policy that's really, really granular so that you know you can't do this, and we've got this policy to back it up that you can't do this. So that's what ensuring that the policy is accurate or adequate as possible is for.
What is it that you need, Mr. Setfield?
I would love a tour of level 2.
I don't know what you've been told, but we don't allow that. I'll see you out. You can go, Bill. Follow me to the lobby.
The elevator's almost here.
Yes, that's how they work when you press the button.